draconian, so to speak, as many Kenyans are saying, that we are trying to, of course, roll back to, the progress that we've made so far as freedom of expression is concerned, ambiguity that is also roughed in this particular crafting of a bill, where you're coming up, of the act itself, where you're coming to the issue of harassment, cyber harassment. I don't know. You're part of this from the beginning.
Yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
Can't you hear the public outcry about this cybercrime? Is there a misunderstanding or miscommunication?
In fact, my fear...
You held also a press conference regarding this?
My biggest fear is even that one interviewing me right now is also misinformed and disinformed.
Yeah, tell me.
Reality.
Tell me, yeah? I'm here to learn as well.
Let me bring it from this angle. Today, I had the opportunity to interact with all the biggest YouTubers in Kenya, TikTokers, as the influencers, the social media, the social influencers in this country, who had all converged in Panari with so many young people, because they wanted to really understand what was this thing to do with computer misuse and cybercrime amendment bill. This was a bill that I know it was passed in their time in 2018. And somebody went to court. I mean, some people went to court, but the case was dismissed in around 2020. Now, we came to get involved in the amendment. And I think it's very important also to explain, the way I did also today, that I am a young person, all right? I do not want to be part of anything that is draconian. Secondly, I am a techpreneur, maybe now to still clarify for Kenyans. Therefore, I cannot allow to be involved in making a law that is detrimental to that which gives me also some piece of a meal for myself, and the generations to come. We got involved in this bill. When it was brought, it was a private member's bill. It was not a government bill, a private member bill. A member of parliament by the name Honorable Dawood. And we got to interact with it, because when a private member brings in a bill into parliament, it will be then given to a committee to process the bill. To go through the process, and processing the bill includes also calling the public. And there was, and we got involved in it on 24th of November, 2024, when it was committed to the Departmental Committee on Information, Innovation and Communication. And we did place in all the newspapers of national circulations, there was an advert that was made in 18th February 2025. And what happens is we got some suggestions and views, public participation that was done. Of course, there was Kenya ICT Action Network, there was the Kenya Alliance of Residents Association, and some individuals, quite a number of them. They actually sent in their memoranda saying of the things that were being, when Dawood wanted to then make some sections of amendment, and there were very few. Number one, you ask yourself, what was actually being amended? Number one was Section 2 of the Act. And the Section 2 was just about definitions of some things.
Yes.
Some of the definitions that were being introduced are things like identity theft. You realize most Kenyans right now are going through issues of SIM swaps and those kinds of things. Those are matters that we now wanted to expand so that we can be able to protect Kenyans from being swindled of their hard-earned money. But the core of that bill was to try and look at a way of addressing the child pornography. Okay? Terrorism, religious extremism, and cultism. And of course, I've mentioned terrorism. So those were the key areas. And of course, in a small way, part of those things that we've mentioned, we had to find who is going to action these matters. And the space that was sent into was empower the courts, that the courts must always listen to if there's a grievance, the court listens to it, but they empowered the National Steering Committee that is now able to bring down a site or block a site, the sites that does what? That does these things that I've talked about. Child pornography. Note this debar, that the US and the UK jurisdictions have tightened their laws on aspects of child pornography very strongly. such that the other market, and look at it, by the way, globally, Kenya is leading on the utilization of social media spaces. In fact, a few minutes ago, I even noted that we are number 5 on the cryptocurrency space. And anything to do with tech, Kenya is leading. Actually, the use of social media space, Kenya is leading globally. Therefore, anybody across the globe looks at Kenya as an easy market. And therefore, we said, I am a parent, Dibal, just as many of those that are watching me right now. We need to protect our children in the way best we can from being used to do this business of pornography. And what then we were giving an empowering, we empowered the National Coordination Committee that, listen, you can suspend our website, but after the courts have determined, then what you need to do then is to block it. Now, that is, the Section 6 was for the national, was about that coordinating committee. Section 27, which has now brought in even the issues that I know many Kenyans have totally misrepresented it. When it talked about, we amended some place that was talking that we're in a situation where somebody causes another person, you know, that may lead to death of someone because you've influenced that person to death. And I have a practical example about this matter, by the way.
To die by suicide?
Yes, to die by suicide. Listen, and I'm saying this for a fact. There are sites, there are websites, there are apps that mislead young people. They tell you do this, do that, and it's like sometimes a competition until you hang yourself. So he said, those who are promoting such sites, those who own those such sites, must be apprehended. And those sites must be brought down. I am telling you, Dibal, fact. I have a parent, just briefly, I have a parent who lost a son who was in one of the key institutions here in Nairobi. And when they tried to check with their phone, this young man was not dating. But they only found those sites of, you know, that tried to help you, you know, go into another realm of the world. Until the young man hanged himself from a very well-off family, hanged himself in the sitting room. So these are the kind of the real situations, social challenges that we're talking about, that we need to address by some of these bills. So basically, Dibal, those are what this act was talking about. Finally, the courts actually did suspend some of these. You know, some people went and got some court orders. But can I tell you something? Even the courts themselves were misinformed and disinformed, because the judge actually suspended some of the clauses that had already been dealt with in 2018.
Yeah, so we're talking about section, was it section 27?
Yes, section 27.
Of the cyber harassment, if my director may just speak.
Correct.
What about section 22, where we had, I think, was it Ruben Kigame and the Kenya Human Rights Commission?
Saying what?
Yeah, saying that this false publication, my director may just pick it up, there's ambiguity with this particular phrasing of this, yes.
Precisely.
Yeah.
That is what I'm saying. If Section 22 was also suspended, it was not part of the amendment. Just read the amendments.
So a person who intentionally publishes false, misleading, or fictitious data or misinforms with intent that the data be considered or acted upon as authentic with or without any financial gain commits an offense and shall, on conviction, be liable to a fine not exceeding 5 million shillings or to imprisonment of a term not exceeding 2 years or both. Pursuant to Article 24 of the Constitution, the freedom of expression and Article 33 of the Constitution shall be limited in respect of the intentional publication of false, misleading, or fictitious data or misinformation that is likely to propagate war or incite persons to violence, B, constitute hate speech, C, advocates hatred that constitute ethnic incitement, vilification of others, or incitement to cause harm, or 2, is based on any ground of discrimination specified or contemplated on Article 27, subsection 4 of the Constitution. And I think this is, we're looking at Article 2 there, is where we have the bone of contention, rowing back on the freedom of expression, because how then do you pass on to Article 24 of the Constitution, the freedom of expression, and that Article 33 of the Constitution shall be limited. Shall be limited.
Ibal, do you see all those things you're reading?
Yeah.
I want you to read for me what was amended. What you are talking about is the Principal Act of 2018. The only sections that were amended was 46A, Section 30, Section 27, and Section 6, and of course Section 2.
Maybe
the rest of the things...
Maybe it has come to bear that, oh, we did see what was in 2018, and it's a ball of contention. Maybe as a debater, yes, that's what I'm saying. Maybe in 2018, this was still there, and
but
it was not in the public...
in courts, and the ruling was made very clear. You need to see the judgment of 2020 about that principal matter. It was all canvassed very well and sorted, and the courts were very clear that it is appropriate to have this law. And most of this has no contravention to any other. I mean, there was nothing wrong about it. What we are talking about, Debal, is the issue of the amended sections, which in all of those that you've mentioned, I see none.
All right.
Talking about 22, 24, they are not here.
27?
27 is there, but
what
about,
listen. But we also, the concern was...
Wait, Debal, about 27, we only inserted or is likely to cause the other person to commit suicide, period. Just that.
I wanted just to take a short break on this. I wanted to ask you, because even what the contention was again, the kind of fine that is being slapped here on Kenyans is very punitive. You're making everyone really walk on eggshells. That, 20 million, you know, if it is 20 million, I mean, how do you, 10 years in prison, how then do you justify such kind of fine?
That was 2018.
That was 2018?
Correct.
No,
it has nothing to do with the amendment.
Increase.
It was increased.
Here is the amendment. Here is the act, sir. Go through it.
They were supposed to have been upgraded from what I picked.
There is the act. Everyone is misinformed in the country. I was part of those who pressed, and I could not be able. That would not have passed me.
27, actually, the issue, if you listen to people who are, it is actually the sanctions, the fine, and so on.